Welcome back to Takis McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour. I'm Tim Takis. Today we're discussing how the judicial system becomes involved in aging issues, specifically probate, conservatorships, and guardianships.
And I'm Barbara McGinnis. In this episode, we're going to be talking with the director of the Office of Conservatorship Management. I think I said that right. And her name is Rachelle Gallimore-Scruggs. Welcome, Rachelle.
Thank you.
Tell us, what is the Office of Conservatorship Management and how was it created?
The Office of Conservatorship Management, or the OCM, as we like to refer to it for simplicity, was created by the Metro Council to encourage the responsible, ethical, and appropriate treatment of individuals with a disability who are under a conservatorship. It was something that was formed as a result of a study that was conducted by the Volunteer Task Force, which was a group of independent professionals who looked at the conservatorship process in Davidson County, compared that to other locations, and looked at ways that the conservatorship process could be improved upon in Davidson County. We have a partnership with Metro Social Services through a memorandum of understanding where social services is able to conduct home visits and to help connect conservators to resources and services that are available that can help them as they do their duties as a conservator. We additionally conduct financial audits to help guide conservators in prudent and responsible management of assets of the respondent.
So how do you work with the Davidson County courts? You know, we just heard from Judge Kennedy, and Judge Kennedy says people come into his court, he names somebody a conservator, and then what happens then, and how do you become involved, or how does OCM become involved at that point?
There are a variety of ways that the Office of Conservatorship Management can become involved with a case. We certainly help individuals who reach out to us with questions, or if they're looking for specific services, we can help connect them to those resources and those services. As far as reviewing a case, we have a pretty detailed policies and procedures that guide how a case is selected and reviewed by our office.
Is it unique to Davidson County? Any other county in the state have such a program?
No, it's absolutely unique. Nationwide, conservatorships, or as they're called in other states, guardianships, have been accompanied with very little training and oversight. And when you have someone who is vulnerable because of a disability, you remove their rights to make decisions for themselves, give those rights to another individual. Training and oversight is fundamentally important. Too often, fiduciaries forget that they're appointed to serve the person with a disability. It's a position of service, not of power. The Metro Council, which actually created the Office of Conservatorship Management, recognized and prioritized that need when it created the OCM.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the duties of a conservator, such as like the annual status report and other things that conservators are supposed to do?
Sure. What responsibilities a conservator has depends on the case. It depends on the extent of the powers that are transferred to the conservator. An annual status report is required in every case. It's never waived. Under state law, the conservator is to report to the court on the physical or mental disability of the respondent and why that continues to necessitate the need for a conservatorship. It's a very simple report to file. It's generally one page, and Davidson County Probate Court Clerk's Office even has a form to simplify it further. Additionally, the Office of Conservatorship Management has educational materials that are available to help the conservator in their role, and one of the videos available on the Office of Conservatorship Management's website specifically guides the conservator on best practices regarding an annual status report.
So that's what I was going to ask. How does a conservator know how do they know what to do?
Because the state of Tennessee has conservatorships that are individually tailored, and that means that every conservatorship is different to meet the needs of the person with the disability. Because of that, a conservator has to pay a lot of attention in order to determine what their responsibilities are and what their power is. They can look first to the orders entered by the court, the letters of authority, to get an idea of what powers are transferred. If powers are not specifically listed in the court orders, the person with the disability retains those powers, and the conservator does not have the authority to make the decision or take the action. So a conservator is going to want to look at those court orders, look at the letters of authority. In addition to that, there are laws that control what a conservator can and cannot do. So it's always a good idea for a conservator to check with their attorney before making a decision to make sure that it's appropriate within the role of their appointment.
Are there some things that a conservator just should not do unless they get the judge to approve it?
Absolutely. A conservator should never take money or property of the respondent for themselves. A conservator should never transfer by gift or sale property of the respondents to another person. Additionally, a conservator should never sell real estate without first going to court and getting the judge's permission.
What if the budget needs to be adjusted for the conservatee or the ward? How do they go about doing that?
The budget for a conservatorship is approved in what's called a property management plan. Certainly it's foreseeable as time goes on that income and expenses can change and the budget needs to be shifted. If that happens, it's a good idea to have a property management, an updated property management plan filed to let the court know that these changes are coming and that to request the changes to the budget and have that approved prior to the implementation of the changes to the budget. That's something that an attorney can help with, to file that updated property management plan.
So how is a conservatorship modified? Okay, let's say that you have a conservator who's conservator for his mother, and he finds that he needs some additional help. How does that get modified? What's the process for that?
Because Tennessee has conservatorships that are individually tailored for the needs, and every conservatorship is different, there are certainly times when a conservatorship may need to be limited or further expanded. For example, if you have an individual who has a traumatic brain injury and needs a conservatorship to cover a broad spectrum of needs and authority, over time, he may recover and start to get better, and then those needs are less. At that point, it would be appropriate for a conservator to go back to the court to request that the conservatorship be limited, and some of those rights that the conservator can, or the respondent can now make those decisions for themselves, be returned to the respondent, restored to the respondent. Conversely, you can have someone who has Alzheimer's or dementia, and over time, when the conservatorship is first established, say the person with Alzheimer's and dementia can balance her own checkbook or make some of her own financial decisions. But over time, the condition progresses to the point where she's no longer able to make those decisions. At that point, it's appropriate for the conservator to go back to court and let the court know that the authority needs to be expanded to take care of the needs that the respondent then has. That can be done by a petition, the filing of a petition. It usually takes at least 2 weeks.
But not an onerous process.
Not an onerous process,
That's good.
no. But it's something where if you know that that's coming, you'll want to file that as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
to let the court hear that.
All right.
And so in the letters of conservatorship that the court gives, they spell out what responsibilities and authorities that conservator has. And that's what they would use working with other financial institutions, right? We're going to have your contact information up on the screen.
All right. Well, Rachelle, thank you very much for the information, and thanks for coming. So stay with us. Next, we'll be speaking to 50 forward and how they fit in with the conservatorship. Stay with us.